Characters don't just talk. When someone speaks, there's always meaning behind it. Sometimes the meaning is right in front of you, but most of the time it's not. The best way to truly understand someone, to feel like you really know the person, is to simply hear them. The smallest grouping of letters, the smallest conjunction of words, the smallest phrase can mean so much, but hearing alone isn't enough. When you only hear somebody, it really is a one-way road, a dead end that has no conclusion. If you really want to understand someone, you have to do more. You have to see, you have to feel, and most importantly, you must listen. A character's most powerful strength will always be their voice. Not in the way that Naruto uses Talk no Jutsu to defeat his enemies. A little less literal. It's not the way that they use it in the show, but instead how they're able to influence the fourth wall. How they're able to use their words to catapult a scene to its highest potential. Transformations, new abilities, colorful animation, emotions, icons, they all have their own way of impacting the viewers, but none can ever have the same impact that words are able to. The smallest scenes, the ones that even the creator didn't intend to have much significance, can be a conversation that changes someone's life. I mean, most recently for me, I found this in one of my favorite animated films, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. A film that I hold at such a high regard. It's everything to me. It's entertaining, it's relatable, but most importantly, Miles Morales speaks to me. I find in so many of his scenes, as well as the rest of the cast, a lot of the struggles that they deal with as superheroes represent a lot of the struggles that I've encountered in real life. There are an uncanny amount of similarities between us. Well, I'm not swinging from webs fighting crime in downtown Boston, but I am learning what it takes to make decisions for yourself. The unfortunate reality of how others operate. One of my favorite scenes from this movie is when Miles' dad is having a celebration for a promotion, where we see a very realistic conversation between Miles and his parents. He has so much to say, so much he wants to tell them, and from the perspective of the parents, it's simple, just tell us. But communication between those you love is never that easy. It reminded me to not take everything at face value, to remember that communication isn't simple, so always try your hardest to make sure that what you're saying is what you mean. But what amazes me is how small this scene was. I really don't think that it was intended to be that impactful, and yet it's a scene that means the world to me. I feel like this travels through all media, and most importantly, in anime. Obviously, this is the point in the script where I start talking to you about my favorite scenes in anime, where words impacted me the most. But sometimes I feel like nothing I say matters. It's weird because I realize that I'm speaking to a blank screen, a script. But I always wonder, where does it go? When's the last time words have changed your perspective? We often take the writing of Sasuke and Naruto's dynamic too lightly, usually undervalued to a typical protagonist and deuteragonist relationship, simplified down to a duo whose paths diverged and that eventually converge again. And yeah, that's basically Naruto, but we overlook how far gone Sasuke really was from the path of convergence. It's kind of what makes their relationship work so well from the perspective of storytelling. No matter how distant Sasuke strayed, Naruto was always there, but not out of duty, not out of responsibility, instead as a friend, which is highlighted perfectly in their encounter under the bridge. It is at this point that we realize Sasuke is too far gone. He's deranged into his delusion for revenge of his brother and the Uchiha clan, and wants nothing less than seeing the Hidden Leaf Village burned to the ground. No matter who stands in his way, he will achieve this, even if it means killing his former teammates of Team 7, which he thinks nothing of, just an obstacle in his path of fulfillment. No matter who tries tries to appeal to him, he will not listen. You're laughing at the cost of Itachi's life, laughing like fools, altogether completely ignorant. Every moment of joy, laughter, love, and connection within the Hidden Leaf was built off of the sacrifice of Sasuke's brother, someone who he loves dearly. Itachi was used as a sacrificial pawn to ensure peace, and that's a world Sasuke could never live in nor let survive. He can never see Konoha as a home, but instead a mockery of Itachi's legacy, and Naruto understands this. When high-level shinobi exchange blows, they can exchange thoughts just through the essence of battle much more clearer than words ever could. Naruto knows exactly how and what Sasuke feels, which is what makes his next words that much more powerful. I'll bear the burden of your hate and die with you. Because in the end, there is no scenario where one side triumphs without the other suffering fatally. This is more than a battle of who's right, it's a battle of ideologies, of whose path is truly righteous. Because you're my friend. These words aren't meant for the Naruto and Sasuke we see now, but instead words for a future Sasuke and a past Naruto, to guide the future Sasuke that this was always his intention, and to stay loyal to a Naruto who will forever stick by his Nindo. I don't understand why niggas say the series is simple. Naruto has a way of not only proving the audience is possible, but also to himself, the young him that made a promise to never turn back on his friends. This is him choosing that he'll stay loyal to what he told himself all these years ago, the importance of sticking to your values no matter how difficult the path is ahead. That's a pretty good one, but Naruto's pretty dated. How about we look at something a little more modern, a little more complicated, like the power of a conversation. Very rarely are words used well enough to not be used as words. When you think of a conversation within an anime, especially shonen, you relate it to exposition, serious moments, or something casual. When Attack on Titan sees a conversation, they try and think of the ultimate way they can build action and suspense from it. It's very unique to their show, and it's probably given us one of the greatest scenes in all of anime, the reveal. The true power of this scene is within its dialogue. The triangle of conversation between Eren, Reiner, and Bertold creates a dynamic that nobody could predict. And not just that, but it's in how the dialogue plays out. The conversation in the foreground is the scouts and the current mystery of the wall, but what you're focused on is the lower dynamic of Eren's conversation, which is the insanity that Bertold and Reiner are actually Titans.
That would definitely make their entry point hard to find.
I'm the armored Titan. He's the Colossal.
It's so subtle, it's so minimal, so softly spoken with low emphasis, and somehow these words come across as the craziest bombshell in the entire series. This is the power of words, how it's able to all of a sudden turn an entire scene on top of itself, with the simplicity of a conversation. Obviously, what happens after, the intensity in their faces, the reality that this is actually true, and the subtle realization that the people they thought to be their closest comrades were acting the entire time, their true mission being the extinction of humanity, clearly, that has some impact within the scene. It makes sense that the visuals be the first thing to catch your attention because that's the first thing you're going to consume. But it's just as important to listen down, not only to what words were said, but the context of these words, the way they talk and how it's presented to the viewer. I can say that this scene understands the way to use the subtlety of words to its greatest advantage, creating such an elite scene that will forever be remembered in time. Yeah, that's cool and all, but don't you have something with a little more meaning behind the words? Something that's able to sum an entire character's life into a single sentence? Oh, what about I have no enemies? How do you lay power to words to give them meaning that can be felt through everything that character does? It's a skill that is unique to only the greatest figure. I don't think you're hearing me. Do you understand how strong your words have to be to stop violence? It's something that feels impossible, but Thorfinn shows you that it is possible. Thorfinn is a pacifist through and through and will stay true to his path, because the viewer and him both know what will happen if he strays. Okay, but really, listen to me. You've come of your own accord to talk things out peacefully to a circle of bloodthirsty soldiers. Your pacifism gets taken for weakness. Your words get taken for insults. Nothing you do works until you eventually become their entertainment. However many punches you can take, the soldiers begin betting, and so you take a bet as well. But not any normal bet. You bet on yourself. You bet on your words. Words that you wish to reach the one who can stop the violence. Because what's worse than a pacifist that resorts to violence is one that doesn't believe in the power power of his own words. So we end at the same question, where does that power in words come from? This scene really does make it easy to understand. Thorfinn goes from the weakest man in the circle to the strongest without throwing a single punch, all from the idea of, have I really put in the effort to talk? When it's all said and done, whenever Thorfinn does decide to resort to violence, he has to look back on it and think, was there really no other way? Because that's what he's had to do his entire life. He's killed hundreds, even thousands of people, and every one of their souls weighs on him, each one heavier than the last. He's not only putting an effort to keep to his pacifist ways, but also as a way to carry the burden that he's accumulated through all these years of fighting. And so when he says something as simple as, I have no enemies, those words hit like a truck, because we're witnessing firsthand how he's come to this stance, why he has no enemies, and the fact that he truly means it. Thorfinn lives through what he says. The reason everything he tells us works is because we've seen it. We've seen the success and failure, the growth of his character, the patience he's been blessed with. We've seen it all. His words truly have power behind them. Oh, I think I understand what words in anime mean to you. It's almost as if all of these characters intertwine and you pick out the conversations that hold the most meaning in your heart, the ones that impact your life the most. That's beautiful. Nah, not really. Kinda just wanted to talk about One Piece. I think the hardest words to nail, the ones that are the most difficult to deliver in the correct way, are words of climax, where all the context, all the emotion, every scene has been stacked up, and the fate of everything relies on those sentences. It's these scenes that are the hardest to capture within words, but when it is, it's life-changing. But every time I think of words, there's really only one scene in One Piece that I come back to time and time again: Luffy's rock bottom. But it doesn't really work, right? Sure, it's giving us all the right cues for an emotional scene, and you might feel some tingles in your spine off of pure nostalgia, but there's something missing. Here, let me show you something. As a child, Luffy grew up with two brothers, Sabo and Ace. Not brothers in blood, but brothers over drinks. They've grown closer than siblings could ever, all three relying on each other to survive. But tragedy strikes and they learn of Sabo's death. This brings Ace and Luffy closer than ever, but leaves a huge hole in their hearts, becoming the exact reason why their passion for each other remains so strong. We fast forward and Luffy has finally made it to sea, which is the journey we've been taken on. Every sea he sails, every adventure he takes leads us to the eventual formation of the Straw Hats, a crew that would do anything for their captain, not out of fear, not out of selfish desires, but purely because their captain means following their own dreams. A man who's able to gather those around just off of joy alone, and so he's able to form an inseparable bond between him and his crew, on track to becoming the Pirate King. But one by one, his crew vanishes. The people he's entrusted his dreams to, the ones that he can call his new family, have been separated to the ends of the earth. And as if things couldn't get any worse, the last remaining knot becomes untied, and he loses Ace as well. It is at this point that Luffy hits rock bottom. He's lost the most important thing to him, his brother. It feels as if there's nothing left for him, only left with rage and sadness, an empty void that seems unfillable until he remembers.
Luffy! 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 Luffy!
Luffy-san!
Now do you feel how powerful his words are? Almost as if the weight of the world was released by a single sentence. One Piece understands how to use the past in the present. No single episode loses its meaning in the grand scheme of One Piece. Instead, it's one of many that are meant to build onto your connection of the journey, until you end up crying with the rest of the crew. These are words that can impact anyone. It's chock full with themes of perseverance and grief, but most importantly, they're words that changed my life. Words that helped me understand more than I ever could that no matter how much you lose, there's always someone who will be there for you. So yeah, maybe one day my words can influence you too.